What if the people you call friends are the very reason you feel stuck, drained, and lost? Think about it. How much of your identity, your habits, even your very thoughts, are shaped by the people closest to you? We cling to companionship out of fear of being alone, believing that any presence is better than silence. But sometimes that silence, the solitude we avoid, would have saved us from years of invisible corrosion. Seneca, the great Stoic, warned us of this danger. He said that the soul is shaped, imperceptibly, yet powerfully, by the company it keeps. And that is the tragedy. Corruption rarely comes in the form of a knife in the back. It comes softly, a friend's voice that reassures you when you should be challenged, a smile that conceals envy when you succeed, a hand that holds you close, not out of love, but out of fear that you might grow beyond their reach. This is why friendship is not neutral. Every companion is either pulling you upward, toward virtue, or dragging you downward into mediocrity. There is no in-between. And until you see this, you will remain blind to one of the most subtle forces shaping your destiny. Welcome to PsychoPitch, the channel where philosophy meets psychology. Here, we strip away illusions, expose hidden truths, and give you the tools to think deeper and live stronger. If you are ready to sharpen your mind against the lies of society, to walk the harder path of clarity instead of comfort, then subscribe now and join a community that dares to face the truth head-on. Friendship is one of the most underestimated forces in our lives. We think it's simply about laughter, companionship, or someone to share time with. But Seneca reminds us that it is far more serious than that. A friend is not just a companion. They are an architect of your soul. With every word, every silence, every reaction, they shape the invisible structure of who you are becoming. And yet, most of us never question who we allow into this sacred space. We confuse proximity with loyalty. We confuse time spent with genuine affinity. But the truth is that every relationship leaves a mark. Some leave you stronger, braver, clearer. Others leave you smaller, more doubtful, and less yourself. The danger lies in how quietly it happens. Nobody wakes up one morning transformed into a weaker version of themselves. The erosion is subtle. It is in the way you stop chasing your goals because your friends laugh at your ambition. It is in the way you start complaining more, doubting more, fearing more, simply because that is the air you constantly breathe around them. This is why Seneca's words still cut like a blade through the centuries. It is better to be alone than in bad company. Because bad company does not just waste your time, it reshapes your character. And if you fail to see this, you might spend years walking with those who keep you small until you forget you were ever meant to grow. Among all the types of toxic friends Seneca warned about, perhaps none is as insidious as the flatterer. On the surface, he seems harmless, even pleasant. He smiles, he agrees, he showers you with praise. He makes you feel comfortable. But comfort, when it comes from the wrong source, is one of the most dangerous poisons. The flatterer never confronts you. He tells you only what you want to hear, never what you need to hear. If you are walking toward a cliff, he applauds your confidence instead of warning you. If you fall into weakness, he reframes it as charm. If you make poor choices, he excuses them as understandable. His loyalty is not to your soul. It is to his own position beside you. And for that, he will happily feed your ego while starving your growth. Seneca wrote that he who never corrects you does not care for your soul. True friendship requires the courage to wound your pride in order to protect your essence. But the flatterer is committed not to truth, but to maintaining favor. He protects your illusions, because as long as you remain blind, you remain dependent. And the tragedy is that flattery feels good. It feels safe. We crave it because it soothes our doubts, silences our insecurities, and keeps us wrapped in a blanket of false assurance. But beneath that warmth lies a slow corrosion. You lose the ability to take criticism, you reject the hard truths, and you begin to seek only the voices that reinforce your illusion. The flatterer is not your friend. He is a mirror that distorts, a hand that steadies you not to protect you, but to keep you from rising above him. And the longer you depend on this false comfort, the further you drift from the person you were meant to become. If the flatterer destroys you through false praise, the envious friend destroys you through silent resentment. He smiles at your success, but his eyes betray him. Every step forward you take feels to him like a step backward in his own life. Your light exposes his darkness. Your growth reveals his stagnation. Your courage confronts him with the cowardice he tries so hard to hide. He will rarely attack you directly. That would be too obvious. Instead, envy wears the mask of concern. He says things like, "I just don't want you to get disappointed," or "You're moving too fast, maybe slow down." His words are not advice. They are seeds of doubt planted carefully in the soil of your ambition. And if you let them take root, they grow into hesitation, second-guessing, and self-sabotage. The envious friend thrives on your stumbles. When you fail, as everyone does, he is the first to say, "See, I warned you." But his satisfaction does not come from your safety. It comes from the secret relief that you did not outgrow him. Seneca was merciless about this type of relationship. He said that a true friend rejoices in your progress as if it were his own. Anything less is not friendship, but rivalry disguised as loyalty. And the danger is that we often tolerate this envy out of pity or because we don't want to seem arrogant. But while we excuse their bitterness, they quietly erode our strength. Ask yourself, do you ever feel guilty for sharing your victories? Do you shrink your achievements so that someone else won't feel small beside you? If so, you are in the presence of envy. And the cure is not pity, but distance. For your growth should never have to apologize for existing. There is another type of friend, one many of us overlook because we mistake his poison for honesty, the perpetual complainer. He turns every conversation into a lament, every opportunity into a tragedy waiting to happen. Nothing is ever enough. Nothing is ever good. Life, for him, is a constant storm, and he insists you stand out in the rain with him to at first, it may seem harmless. After all, everyone needs to vent. But Seneca warned us that the human spirit absorbs the moods of those it lives with. And constant exposure to misery is not harmless. It is contagious. Spend enough time with a complainer, and you will begin to see the world through his eyes. Bitter, hopeless, already lost. Notice how he responds when you share your dreams. That won't work. When you announce change, it's pointless. Things always go back to the same. When you succeed, enjoy it while it lasts. He hides his pessimism under the mask of realism, but it is not realism. It is sabotage. For every step you try to take forward, he pulls you back into the pit he refuses to leave. And here lies the danger. Little by little, you change. You complain more, you doubt more, you expect less. Enthusiasm turns into fatigue. Hope collapses into irony. Gratitude fades, replaced by resentment. Without noticing it, you begin to live in a world shaped not by your vision, but by his despair. The complainer does not want solutions. He wants companions in suffering. And if you stay, you will not save him, you will sink with him. Some friends do not weigh you down with envy or drain you with complaints. Instead, they seduce you with charm, excitement, and endless invitations. This is the hedonist, the one who lives for pleasure and convinces you to do the same. On the surface, he seems harmless, even fun. After all, what's wrong with enjoying life? But Seneca warned that when pleasure becomes your compass, you are no longer free. You are a slave to impulse. The hedonist does not seek depth, he seeks distraction. He does not ask you to grow, he asks you to escape. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to trade discipline for indulgence. Your late nights become later. Your commitments fade into afterthoughts. The goals you once guarded like sacred fire begin to flicker out under the constant winds of relax. It's just once, or don't be so serious. But just once becomes habit, and habit becomes identity. Before long, you are no longer steering your life. You are drifting, pulled by every fleeting desire. The hedonist celebrates this drift because the more you surrender to impulse, the less alone he feels in his own lack of direction. Seneca taught that pleasure is not evil when it follows virtue, but destructive when it leads it. True freedom is not doing everything you want. It is the strength to say no to what weakens you. And the hedonist, with his endless invitations and careless laughter, robs you of that strength. Beware of the one who always urges you to indulge, who mocks your discipline, who treats your self-control as foolishness. He is not pulling you into freedom. He is pulling you into chains, chains that glitter like gold, but tighten all the same. The last, and perhaps the most quietly dangerous of all, is the moral coward. He does not envy you. He does not flatter you. He does not even complain endlessly. Instead, he fears. Fear rules his life. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of stepping outside the boundaries of what is safe. And because he is paralyzed by fear, he cannot allow you to be brave. Every time you attempt something bold, he urges you to step back. Every time you want to break a pattern, he warns you of what others might think. His voice is gentle, even caring, but behind that mask of concern lies a hidden motive. If you rise above fear, he will have to face the fact that he never did. Seneca was clear: virtue requires courage. To live with integrity is to walk against the crowd, to stand firm even when others waver. The moral coward cannot do this, and so he cloaks his weakness in the language of wisdom. He tells you, be careful, when what he means is, stay small, so I don't have to confront my own smallness. This type of friend does not openly sabotage you. He infects you. His constant warnings make you doubt, hesitate, and retreat. And step by step, you trade authenticity for acceptance. You trade your courage for his comfort. The danger of the moral coward is not that he hates you, but that he quietly reshapes you in his own image. And if you allow it, you too will learn to shrink, to silence yourself, to mistake fear for wisdom. And in doing so, you abandon the life you were meant to live. Better, Seneca said, to walk alone with courage than surrounded by cowards who call their fear prudence. Now that we've unmasked these 5 toxic archetypes, the question remains: what do you do when you find them in your life? The answer is not easy, but Seneca's wisdom is sharp. It is better to walk alone than in bad company. Loneliness terrifies us. We treat silence as a punishment and solitude as failure. But what if solitude is not emptiness? What if it is space? Space for clarity, space for truth, space to rediscover who you are without the constant noise of others bending your soul in their direction. Toxic company does not simply waste your time, it reshapes your character. Every day you spend with flatterers, complainers, cowards, or hedonists is a day you become more like them. And if you fear losing them, ask yourself, is keeping them really worth losing yourself? Courage is not just facing external challenges. Sometimes the greatest courage is to step back, to cut ties, and to choose silence over false companionship. In that silence, you will find not weakness, but strength. Not despair, but clarity. Because walking alone is never as dangerous as walking beside those who lead you away from your own soul. Now that you've seen the 5 types of toxic friends, it's time to turn the question inward. How many of these presences exist in your life today? And perhaps even harder, are you becoming one of them in someone else's? Reflection is not just about identifying others. It is about holding up the mirror to yourself. Seneca believed that true friendship is a sacred alliance, one that pushes us toward virtue, even when it hurts. Anything less is not friendship, but a subtle form of sabotage. If you recognize these archetypes in your circle, have the courage to create distance. And if you recognize their shadows in yourself, have the courage to change. This journey of sharpening the mind, stripping away illusions, and facing uncomfortable truths. That is what we do here on PsychoPitch. If this message resonated with you, then subscribe, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and join a community that values truth over comfort. Because in the end, the strength of your mind and the destiny of your soul depends on the company you keep. Choose wisely, and if you must, have the courage to walk alone.